Welcome back, everyone, to the Simply Trade podcast. Today, we're talking to a person who I kind of got connected with her because of a friend of mine, Mr. Frank Desidero from GDLSK, and he introduced me to a book. He was really funny because he was showing me a book that he was featured in, and I told him, well, next time I see you, you're going to have to give me a signed copy. And lo and behold, he did. He gave me a signed copy of the paperback book, and so anyway, but he was featured in it, and I read the book, and I thought, oh, I need to have the author in on the podcast, and so I invited her, and the book centralizes or focuses more on logistics, supply chains, that area of our business, but which is fine because I've always said trade always crosses over logistics and supply chain. So in on the podcast here today, I have Kristy Guo. If you read her book, you read her bio, and you're gonna really know that she's a go-getter. She's a hustler, man. She gets out there. She did from childhood up to where she is now. It's crazy. You all have to listen or read her book, Signature Global Network. And this is the third edition of her book. She has a book called The Logistics Legends. And this one that I'm specifically focusing on is volume 3. That's the one that Frank Desidero is featured in. And so it, like I said, it features folks in logistics and all that. And to be honest with you, for me, this book was talking again not about the business itself, but the people behind the business, the people that make logistics work. Like oftentimes in logistics and supply chain and trade, we feel that we're a little bit invisible, and that's why I feel like these stories like really resonated. But I got to learn how people grow, how they're resilient, how they just push through, and in some cases, like from poverty, like when they grew up, none of them came from like a lot of money or anything like that, and they just said, "Oh, I inherited a logistics business or some kind of business like that." They all just started from the bottom, and especially Kristy when you hear her story. But anyway, Kristy, thank you for joining me here on the podcast. I know you're, believe if I'm not mistaken, you're down under, right? You're in Australia, so we're at odd times here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Lalo. I really love the introduction. And I'm so glad that you mentioned about the book and you talk about those stories because all my mission is really to let people, first of all, to know these heroes behind the scenes in the logistics industry. And secondly, I really want them to be inspired and empowered because we all start from, like most of us start from the humble beginning. And people just thought when they see someone who are successful nowadays, they didn't know how much behind that, just like the iceberg. Well, I am from Melbourne right now and it's my morning. Thank you so much for having me. It's freezing cold this morning
Oh
here.
wow, yes, I forget that we're opposite seasons. Yes.
Yes, it's
Crazy,
very cold
crazy.
here.
Yeah, and opposite for us, it's actually quite warm for us right now. So, especially being in West Texas. So, but thank you, and you were so nice and generous to come on the show. I see you on LinkedIn and on social where you're like at TEDx. Kristy, why logistics? I mean, I know you're in that business. If again, if anybody reads your book, they'll know, that you how you came up and the businesses that you started with in China and how you started at a very young age and how you worked yourself up and everything. So obviously, logistics and that area is in your ecosystem. That's what you've done and everything. So, but why? Why did you think that a book on folks in logistics was a good idea?
Well, thank you so much, Lalo. You're right. I recently was on the TEDx stage, and also I've actually already done 8 books, and I'm actually working on my ninth book right now. And as a founder of the Signature Global Network, which we spins around 90 plus countries, and I'm also a mentor of global CEOs and business owners with great Asian genes. People really won't believe that I've been in the industry for more than 20 years. Uh, but I do run international conferences and stuff. Well, first of all, I definitely will be here with you because I love what you do, Lalo. We are here to support people, and people behind the industry are more important than anything else. And thanks for your question regarding why I put this together. First of all, for me, we are all humans. It doesn't matter whether we're in logistics industry or not. You'll be surprised that even though I'm in this industry for more than 20 years, my mindset is always sitting in the whole world. It never just has to be restricted in one industry. However, it's a privilege when the day I realized that this world would not move without logistics people. I felt privileged. I felt there's a mission in me. And then I realized, just like Moana in Disney movie, I always say that it's not that I choose the ocean. Moana didn't choose the ocean chose her. And I believe that I was chosen by the logistics industry and people in this industry. And that's how the story started. And when I probably recently, if you watch my TEDx talk, I was very much promoting about interdependence. And the reason why I'm sharing you with that is because as my journey grows and I start from being dependent because I need someone, and then quite vulnerable, and then became independent, as you could see my story, that I was so powerful
Right.
and I had to do everything, things really strong alone. Then I realized the major power, the super powerful point is not any of that. It is actually interdependence, which is why I realized, hang on a minute, I've been writing books all the time. Why don't I write books for other stories? Because their stories are so powerful. So from the idea to I reach out to one person, two people, three, and it became a whole book series. Now we got the third book just released. It has been such a wonderful journey and it's so rewarding. And not just me who is empowered, inspired. They're inspired by me. I'm inspired by them. And then the audience, the readers, that's like, wow, this is awesome. I love it. That's really how the story started, Lalo.
No, yeah, and I saw that because like the very first probably the very first sentence or paragraph at least of your story I think is literally the first sentence. I'm trying to remember because it's not a big book, but I mean there is a lot of information. There's five of you featured on there, and yours, I think you even started something by saying that people question that if you really are a founder, or that you're like I guess A, female, B, Asian, maybe, I don't know, and
Yeah.
C, logistics, and they're like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean that's like you said, it is very inspiring. I really like it. Really, like that movie that says "You had me at hello." This is exactly the same thing. You had me at that first sentence. I was like, oh, I really want to read this story and learn more about you. But so, like, do you feel that like was any of that like something that like even motivated you even more to prove to anybody that you can do it? And it's not like it was a mission. And I'm not saying that you were like set out to like rub it in anybody's face or anything, but you were just out to prove that you can do this.
Well, thank you for your question. You're right. I just want to share quickly a little story. When I was younger, I was born in a small town, and probably you guys have read the book or listened to my TEDx talk. I was the second illegal child in China, and it's
Right.
one child policy. I was secret child. I actually can get killed if I because I was illegal. So growing from that environment, and especially my sister, who's always because she's illegal, I was illegal. And there's a lot of pressure on me that I was thinking I wasn't good enough. I need to do more to prove who I am and all this kind of stuff. But it's just a journey that went through those journey, and then finally I start dream big, and then I got my, as you can see, there's a lot of dreams come true. I'm not gonna go through all of this on this podcast, but long story short, yes, I was trying to prove myself so hard at the beginning. But then when the moment something clicked on me is when I started logistics industry, I was there I was only 17, I'm pretty sure. I attended those global conferences. People came to me, "Are you a student? Why are you here?" And then someone even start to imagine that I'm just daughter of their CEO or the
Right.
founder. That's why I got the so the privilege to be there. But then later they got to know me. It's not because of the title or anything that's gonna get them to trust me and to respect me. It's really because I was always hungry to learn and always listen, and they really feel that I'm very authentic and genuine, never really pretend anything. They start to like me. Yes, you're right. It is very challenging. Even when I started my journey to have my own network, I went to these events because again, Asian genes can be a great thing, but also can be a disadvantage. Number one, you look too young. Number
Yes.
two, you're a female. And even though when I go with someone together with a friend who's also a company owner, they'll say, "Do you work for someone?" Then they look at the guy next to me. I was like, "No, I have my own business." So I think right now, especially for the females outside there, you definitely can understand and resonate, because when I talk to so many CEOs who are females, they all have faced pretty much the same challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed that a big central theme, the resiliency. Look at you. I mean, you're doing TEDx and you're doing a book. You're doing several books. I mean, so I mean, that's great. Do you think that the industry or the business is what makes them resilient?
Wow, I love that question, Alo. Well, I believe it's both because first of all, if because I've been in touch with so many global CEOs, like spins around probably 200 plus or not 190 plus countries. I have all the connections. And because I've been in the industry for more than 2 decades, and I have the privilege to speak to many of these people and listen to their stories. And of course, especially for the book series, I got to deep dive into those stories and to understand about all these different things. And what I found that's fascinating is they all have something in common. You're right, and they all seem to start in a very humble beginning. And
Yes.
secondly, they all are very resilient. And I believe that this is just a reflection of human beings, how powerful we are, how resilient we can be when the environment is forcing you to become resilient. I remember one of the authors, he mentioned, I think it's Gilbert, he said, when there's no way to go, there's only one way, which is up. So I like
Yes.
that saying because pretty much we all have that feeling in a certain point of life that it's too hard, it's too hard. I really want to give up. I don't want to go anymore. It's just so tiring, whatever that feeling is attacking you. And then when there's another voice saying, "Hey, you cannot give up. There's only one way to go. And there's no point you're gonna go backwards because when you go backwards, you're dying. You have to keep going." To answer your question, I believe that number one, people, all of us are born to be resilient. We have the gift. Secondly, we all have the opportunity and chance to be more resilient when the environment is forcing us. However, one thing that's missing there is what if that's a, you would say, Christy, if that's the truth, why not everybody will turn up to be the same, or why don't they be resilient? It's because if you look at all these stories, they have someone step into their life, and that can be a mentor or someone who completely believed in them, empowered them. It's all about the power of interdependence, which is why I'm crazily passionate about interdependence, because I believe none of us is supposed to be doing life alone. We all need each other to be better and to be empowered.
Exactly. Yeah. And I did get that message. Also, before we get into that, let me ask you something. You already talked about this resiliency and interdependence and all that. Is that like the biggest surprise that you got out of writing this book, or like in interviewing and talking to them? Or was there like what surprised you the most? Do you think what was it what you just talked about, or was there something even a bigger like aha or wow moment?
Yeah, I think the aha moment, there's something even bigger is, well, when I say aha, is I already noticed that when I was very young, probably because of my stories and experiences, I call myself an old soul, have a young outlook, very
Yes.
old soul inside. But that aha moment is really coming into this moment when I talk to so many amazing successful people like Frank, like uh, even Pep, the guy who actually is a company around millions of dollars, and he's really successful. And then he shared his childhood. Oh my gosh, it made me cry. Like all these stories, just like so human and so real. And everybody has those kind of stories. And the aha moment is really the hang on a minute, no matter what titles they're wearing, we're pretty much the same. And that's how it makes me really excited, because if I can transfer this thinking mindset and the stories to bring to this world, so many people, they are stuck not because they can't do anything, it's because they don't believe they can do something. And if they hear those guys stories, it's like, okay, they're just like me, or they actually had a worse experience than I did. I don't have more excuses anymore. If they can do it, so can I. And that's the
Exactly.
aha moment. I was so like lit up my fire in my soul and heart. I was like, no, I have to bring this to this world. People have to listen to those stories because they need to hear it, and they will be empowered and they can do even better than those authors as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's exactly right. I mean, I did see like in Frank's story, we were talking offline about his story about being a child. I think he was like 10, 11, 12, something like that. Or he was around 12 years old. He was a Boy Scout and he really wanted to go to the if anybody's in scouting or know anything about scouting, there's this big thing called the Boy Scout Jamboree. And he lived in the northeast of the United States up in New York. And the Jamboree was in New Mexico, in the corner of New Mexico and Colorado, in a place called Philmont Scout Ranch. And the family just couldn't afford it, and how he found a way to get there, you know. So anyway, you know, so I do see those stories, but let's start with that. Let's start with the different stories in the book, and let's begin with Frank. Frank's is the first one after yours, and what surprised me was that you
Yeah.
started after your story, you started with someone who's not really in logistics. He's in trade. There you go. Yeah, he's in trade. He's in law, and but his story talks about like his discipline in his career to get to. I mean, and it's great to see it in writing because I've talked to him, like I said in the past, and every time I see him at conferences, well, like we've had lunch together, or you know, we went out and they always have these networking sessions or mixers, and you know, you get to sit there and just talk and have a drink or whatnot. And you know, I got to learn a lot about him, and I see how he grew his partnership with his partners, I should say, with a law firm. But what did his story add to the book? What do you think his story added to the book?
Well, first of all, when I got to know Frank, pretty much like your experience, I was in a conference and he was there with me. We really had lunch together, just chatting. We didn't have any agenda. It was a very nice lunch. And one of our common friends said, "Hey, Frank, you should talk to Kristy. What she does is amazing. And then, Kristy, you should talk to Frank. He's such a humble and successful guy." And then we start to really hook up very quickly, and I start to ask him a lot of questions about his life and his stories. And I think this guy, he's funny. He's quite old in his age, but he's filled with energy, passion. I
Oh yeah.
love that. I was like, this guy is full of life. And I start to be very curious about all his life and everything. Then we start have more and more conversations. And it end up saying, okay, since you majority of your time you're actually helping logistics people, those heroes. If logistics people are heroes, you're the hero behind those heroes. And that's when I said, okay, I have this book coming up and it was really successful before, but this edition, we want it to be so special. Would you like to be participating? And he was like, I think so. Let me think about it. And then he came back to me. That's how we started this journey. And the reason why I think Frank's story makes a huge difference here, number one, he is related to logistics. As you know, he's a lawyer.
Right.
He helped so many logistics people in history to solve so many problems. When I say that, people say, "Oh yeah, yeah, people solve problems. That's just common and normal." But imagine this, guys. Frank can just help one person, which is a CEO of whatever company. He can literally save that company's lives if he get a case right. And also, some of the time, with one simple adjustment or the knowledge, he can save 1 million per day. It is how amazing what he was doing. But money is never his goal. because he creates so much value that helps so many people and solve their problems as well. He became, of course, very rich. I believe so.
Yes,
Yeah, and I believe the reason why he has to be in the story, number one, he is related to logistics, and secondly, his stories are so inspirational. As you can see, Lalo, you shared a few from the book. I don't want to ruin the movie ending.
e-
You guys need to read the book yourself, but there are
exactly.
many funny stories in the book.
They are, and that's the I felt that reading his segment really captured the way he is. I mean, because that's exactly how he is, and I really like that. So let's move on to Leslie. So I don't know or I haven't met any of the other folks that you featured in the book. There's three more. One of them is Leslie, but I did read her section, and she has a lot of her story goes deeply into like faith, like her grit, and like kind of like just the lessons that she wants to leave for her girls, right? That's what I
Mhm.
felt. I mean, she talks. She's a very family focused and centralized person, and I liked her story. Like, what stood out for you about her message?
Well, Leslie, I call her the Iron Man in logistics. I woman. Sorry, correct that. Well, Iron Man, a woman. We're all men anyway. She she's really powerful, and the story that really touched me was she got a few times trust in wrong people in her life,
Mhm.
and that really hurt her a lot. Like I was literally crying when I heard the actual story, and she was still emotional when she talked about. Of course, she let it go, and she's growing from there. But the emotions are real. The reason why I think her story is really powerful, and what I got from her story, you're right, faith and grit, and great part itself is even though she was hurt by so many people, some of them are close partners, some of them who she
Right,
trusts and give her whole life and put everything into work. And she one of the story, I'll give you that part. I think Frank also still talks about it, is when she was waiting to be paid millions of dollars for that project, which it was agreed with that project. And then her husband even bought the diamond ring and everything was perfect.
right.
And suddenly she went to that meeting. They said, "Oh, you're just gonna get 350 was whatever $1,000," and she was completely shattered. What happened just now? And she couldn't really go through those lawyer and everything because her friend, who is a lawyer, said to her, "If you go through those things, you spend all this money, and the end you're gonna get the same amount. There's no point." So she just said, "Okay, I'm just gonna take that. It's all good." I think
Yeah.
that, yeah, you go.
No, go. Keep on going. Keep on going.
Yeah, I think that story itself, there's a lot of great ones there in her stories, but that one really hit me a lot because I like everybody faced disappointment in life, and sometimes it took really a long time to recover. But how could she be so strong through all these challenges? And she still believed in people. She still kept going. And that's a message this world really needs to hear because we all make mistakes. We all will fail, but failure is just temporary. Yeah, that's what I want to share.
No, no, yeah, and that's true because, like you said, it's crazy how a lot of people would have just. I mean, if they would have gotten burned or like you said, like something like that would have happened, I think they would have just thrown their arms up and said, I'm done, and she kept on going. That's also what I liked about her story. So Rob's story talks a lot about like, crisis, his pushing through COVID. I believe he
Yes.
did talk
Yes.
quite about COVID and then of course entrepreneurship. And so like I felt like his was more like a story of leadership through like just all these crazy times, like chaos, right? Like I felt like his was more focused on that. What message do you feel like our readers can get out of his story?
Yeah, just to correct what you said, Lalo, they wrote them. I helped them
Right.
through the journey on this book. And of course, I was the one giving suggestions about what you need to focus on your story to bring a
Hmm.
strong message to the readers. And you're right, you concluded beautifully that Rob's story is about even though he was about to give up and everything happened at the same time, all the chaos, and his wife even was worried about him, like there's no way he's gonna go through that, but he made it, which is which actually brought him more confidence and fulfillment than you just have the very flat road and it's easy and you get to the destination you want. He completely went through a like like a roller roller coaster. Like you just
Yes.
look, life is like this. The reason why we want Rob's story to be there is you're right. He's very different than the other authors, and that's the beauty about co-authorship. Everyone is so different from different countries, different background, even gender, culture. But there are so many young men or similar age or 30, 40, and they if they hear Rob's story, first of all, they can find something resonating with him, and secondly, they will get empowered by the way how he did not give up and keep finding ways and solving those problems and made it. Like he did even sell his company and he got exit successfully, and then he has a new business that's running, which is really, really, really inspirational.
And then Kat's story was the shortest one, but it kind of like left me like wanting to learn more about her. How she moved to the UK from during, I think it was also
Hong-
during COVID, right? She relocated there during
from Hong
COVID. If
Kong,
I'm,
yeah.
yeah, and but she was more of like the patient one, like waiting, believing, like discovering and rediscovering different aspects of logistics and so why do you feel her story was also important for this book?
Well, number one, there's not any Asian except for myself in the
Uh-huh.
previous books. And secondly, she's very tiny, she's small.
She looks like it, yes.
Nobody really pays attention to her, but she's so strong at the back. When I say that is she at her very early age, she already sold her first company. And secondly, she got this weak heart condition when she was born with. It was really crazy how she made it all the way. And the other thing, she didn't, there's so many stories when you talk to those people, you're like, wow, why did you hide those stories? They're so powerful. And I remember she even mentioned that she did this because she couldn't go to the PE because of her weak heart condition. She
Right.
had to really practice piano, and she actually ended up with the shortest time. I think it's 1 month or something. She was like, "You have to go to competition. Do you want to go?" And she said, "Yep. I have nothing to do anyway. I'm gonna practice." And she got the championship in the whole across Hong Kong. Guys, you have to understand. In Hong Kong, it's very competitive for those kind of things, and she
Exactly.
did it. And I believe we need her story to empower people. What you had, whether it's from your DNA or genes or something in the past that you couldn't change, doesn't really define where you want to be. And she actually has chosen ways, it's a harder way. People laugh at her. Hey, if you can't be very good at school, you should just go and do transportation. Like they're laughing at her. And she said, yeah, I'm going to do transportation, but I'm going to do it in a great way. And she actually made it really successful, and she's connected with so many people. Her business, everybody's reaching out to her, can you sell your business? Because she's, whether she's not doing it, when she does the most and the best. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she's that I thought that was a funny story or an interesting story. It wasn't funny. There wasn't like any humor in it, but I thought that was great how I think she overheard someone at a McDonald's of all places talking about
That
ship
one.
rates or something like that, talking about like the rates for shipping and all that, and she's like, "I
Mm.
think I can solve your problem," and I
Yeah.
believe she did, and I know that took a lot for her to do. That was great. I really like that story. But again, like you said, I'm not gonna give away the plot or I'm not gonna do any spoiler alerts or any spoilers here. But we'll let everybody read the book. But that was I liked her story. That one left me like I want to learn more about her or hear more about her. That one was a good story too. So okay, with all these stories and all these folks that you have, and including yourself. Earlier, you also alluded to, and you also talked about mentorship, and of course, then the book itself is, the legends of logistics. But I mean, with that comes, of course, their legacy. They're leaving back behind a legacy. They're leaving people who I know someone. that works like for Frank, and Frank encourages his employees to mentor, younger folks, and this young lady that works for him. She's a brilliant girl, amazing. I'm always impressed about how much she knows, but I feel like she's growing through the mentorship of other folks within the Frank's law firm, and I feel like he encourages that kind of culture. Do you feel like how do you feel like the like with the mentorship and the ability to become a mentor? Like, how important do you think that is, like in our business and I mean anything really in as we go through our businesses?
Yeah, thanks for that question. That is very important. First of all the billionaires, millionaires, they all have mentors. If you look and search, none of them are just doing life alone. They all have someone in different expertise who are better than them, so they can learn from. And secondly, that took many people a hard way is there are only two ways for you to learn. Number one, you learn through your own mistakes and experiences and journey. Secondly, you can learn from others, which either is from mentorship or mentorship through a book. Someone can save 50 years by reading a book from someone who already made those mistakes. And mentorship saves your life. It saves your a lot of time because time is more important than money or anything because you only have limited time on this planet. And for me, my journey was I have the privilege to meet people in my life along the journey. It doesn't have to be paid mentors, but I did have a lot of them. The thing is, remember Bruce Lee once said, when the students are ready, the master will appear. It's not that we don't have enough masters around. It's just that many people have so much pride and ego that they don't want to feel like, I think I know everything. If you think you know everything, honestly, you know nothing because like everyone that I'm talking to, including myself, my attitude is there is so much more I don't know. That's why every day it's really exciting to me because I can then learn new things. And every time when I have a conversation with anyone, I can learn. Like Lalo, I learn things from you from this conversation. Whoever I'm talking to, there's always ways we can learn from their stories and their experiences. And yes, mentorship is something you have to consider. And just to add a little bit more on that, because I'm very passionate for the younger generations, and with the AI, with all the technologies and everything around the world, it's lacking trust and it's very confusing because everybody goes to ChatGPT or Google to find all the answers. But really, you need someone in real life that can really guide you, that will really direct you to the best direction. And the more we head into the new age and new modern life, the more we need a mentor to be around that you can trust and can support you when you need them. Honestly, you can have a design robot who is completely perfect and with a human skin, whatever that is, but it's still a robot. You don't want to hack that person, okay? When you even if
Right.
you do, you cannot feel the same way, even if you hack someone who is not perfect, but they're real. So being real is way more precious than being perfect.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So thank you for that. And I guess we're pretty close here to the end of our times. What do you feel like? What is like the one thing that you want to tell folks out there that are either listening, that are in the industry, and who cares? They don't even need to be in logistics because your story or your message, let me say, should resonate for just about anybody. You don't have to be in logistics. You don't have to be in trade. You don't have to be in supply chain.
My one message is very simple. Whether you are denying it or you try to hide, we are all interconnected and we all need each other. And the power of interdependence is something many people underestimated. We cannot be fulfilled with each other without each other, sorry, and we cannot be happy without each other. We really need each other to be more successful and to live a life full of purpose. So really remember the power of interdependence is the message I want you to leave with.
Great, great. So, what is next? You think you're going to have a volume four, or I mean, you already said you're writing a ninth book. I'm sure it's not in the series here because it didn't sound like it. But do you feel like And there's so many people out there. You still feel you got some more stories to tell?
Yes, I'm open to have more series for the Just Legends because, and you'll be surprised that how many things we in common, but there are so many things we're not the same. So every time when I bring a new book, and I can always discover new things through that book, and the stories are really powerful. So yes, we are going to have volume 4 onwards, but we're not rushing to just get someone in there. We really want to make sure that when we put someone in there, it will be the best fit and the right people. And secondly, the ninth book I'm writing is more related to the CEO coaching. It's about financial and life freedom because so many people are working across the industry and in the industry, but they're working in the business rather than on the business. So, yeah, I'm very excited for the new book. I'm gonna share more when uh, it's ready to go. It's 90% done. I just need to edit it and also go through all the things. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, well, great. Well, thank you again for joining me, and I'll have for everyone listening in, I'll have Christy's contact information, at least from LinkedIn. I'll have a link to her book and her business and whatnot. You know, as much as information as I can provide, I'll put it on the show notes so you all can head over and learn a little bit more about Christy and all the other authors that have co-written books with her. Again, remember this is her third volume, so there's several others that you can read about. But for now, thank you so much for joining me, Christy, and I really appreciate you taking the time and talking to me.
Thank you, Lalo. Thank you so much, everybody.